time to step up and be the fastest from the start to the finish.
When I ride well, I hit the marks, all of them.
Trying to make a run for the overall for sure. Try to be consistent everywhere.
That's the biggest lesson. Don't give up.
What's up, Shredders, and welcome to Crankworx Connect. I'm Derek Foose. I'm going to be your guide through the ins and outs, the mysteries of all things Crankworx this year. We couldn't bring you to Crankworx, so we're bringing Crankworx to you virtually. enjoying here the beautiful Westin Resort and Spa in Whistler. It's a gorgeous day here, and I know it's a money day at Kicking Horse. Basically, we want to bring all the things going on with Crankworx this year in this brave new Cranks world to you at home. You guys are watching. So let's take a quick look, deep dive into what is actually going on with Crankworx this year. It's the Clif Crankworx Summer Series. We got 25 of the best BC-based riders on the planet, all gathered together. Basically, summer camp for mountain bikes. They're going through 3 different resorts. They've been at Silver Star, Kicking Horse now, then they're going to Sun Peak, 4 disciplines. It's putting riders outside of their comfort zone. Basically, we're seeing enduro riders doing gate starts. We're seeing downhillers having to do enduros. Today, slalom broadcast. Nope, we are not doing. We're live with the Maxxis DH broadcast. All right, now, yesterday, dual slalom ran at Kicking Horse Mountain Resort in Golden, and it was awesome. We saw, a little bit of a shakeup on the women's side. ALN, Andréane Lante-Nadeau, surging. She won the enduro. Now she's taken silver from the dual slalom. She's going to be moving up the ranks. The women's side is really starting to get exciting. And the men's racing, well, nothing short of a dynamite bomb put in the middle of the dual slalom. We had a huge shakeup. We saw Finn Isles and Bas van Steenbergen in what normally would be the final. Those two guys battling it out for bronze, and a brand new winner, first timer Lucas Cruz out of Pemberton, taking the gold on the men's side in the dual slalom. All right, now we've had a mind-blowing thing happen at Golden at Kicking Horse Mountain Resort in this Crankworx stop. Psychosis is back. Right, for those of you who don't know, Psychosis is the legendary downhill race on Mount 7, just outside of Golden, BC. And I use legendary sparingly, but truly, this is the epitome of the gnarliest downhill race you could possibly get. I know some of you might say some of those weird races in Europe where they race down a ski hill and then 400 hours down a goat track or something. No, Psychosis, I'm Canadian. Prove me wrong in the comments if you want. You can't. Let's take a quick look at what it's all about. This is truly Legends of DH. We're going to the course preview.
What's up guys, Trevor Burke here with GT Bikes. Today I'm standing on the paraglider launch on Mount 7 for your Psychosis downhill race. Today I'll be taking you down the course with the Norco factory racing team, Henry Fitzgerald, Elliot Jamison and Lucas Cruz. Let's go get your course preview done, presented by Stans. Cheers, I'm scared. Have fun. Going dead dog, big Shelly section, real steep, just on the brakes all the time. Holy crap. Back wheel hasn't really spun yet. There's a little cash burn down here. Woohoo! And I've lost the knocker, boys. Switchback starting to mellow out a little bit. Thank God. That was alright. Woo! I followed Mark the Shark Wallace. Oh, just got past the steep section. Bit of a traverse. Really nice. That was a very scary section to trail. Woo. A little bit dusty, but dirt's pretty good. Like, definitely better than last time I raced it. It looked like it was real dusty 12 years ago. Now it's like pretty good dirt. Oh, Brett down Psychosis. It's just naturally so fast. Got a third. Oh, he's a hike bike.
I gotta practice the hike bike.
Practice the run, buddy! Right behind Henry Fitz and Lucas Cruz after the hike bike. That was brutal. Oh, the crap is dusty. Oh, there's a fast section.
Nice ridge top ride. Oh, it doesn't look like the right line. Whew. We found McKay on the trail. Giant rider. Went down a steep. Whoa! Steep section, taking the inside there. Down into the chute. Woohoo! Surfing. Yeah, stick berms at the bottom. Don't know what you can see, but it's freaking fun. Holy! This is corner Steve Smith blew up. Let the fast boys go. On George Rastel. There's some pretty flowy berms here. Woohoo! Pretty fast section. Lots of berms. George is looking real smooth. Pretty raw terrain here. It's pretty nice. George is getting real. Woohoo! Little step up. Little pedal. Looks like it's starting to get steep again now. Cool. Rock drop here. Woo! Into a good cash berm. Pretty loose. Woo. Hi, Chris. Whoa! Big old Cinder Gap. Big kicky rock after it. Woo! That was sick. Okay, bye, G. Alright, we found Miranda Miller, ALN, and Casey Brown. Woo. Some man-made berms. Once you get past Dead Dog, it's a fun, wide open trail. Starting to get close to the bottom here, coming into the big cinder. ALN! Ooh. Up this wooden drop, very mellow. On ALN now, into a real fast section. Woo. Get some breeze in the air. Holy. Change your pace. Holy. So fun. Do Rio and Kamloops. Woo. Coming into the finish line. Apparently, finish line jump. One foot up. And that's it. It's course done. Okay guys, that's your Stan's course preview of the Psychosis downhill. Started with the Norco factory team, finished with these fast ladies. Super steep, super fun. It's gonna be a good time.
Let's go cook some breaks.
Woo! Holy, well, that is unreal. So stoked to have Psychosis back. If you're wondering what's going to happen, you got to stay tuned to our DH broadcast later on. We're going to have a full highlights package plus results. You haven't seen them yet. The secret is not out yet. All right, joined by our fans of the week, my co-hosts here, Andy and Jason. Guys, welcome back to the show. What do you think about that Psychosis track? You guys know it inside out. Maybe can you give us a little bit of the history of that race and what to expect going into the race today?
Yeah, well, the race is 22 years old now, and it hasn't been raced for the last 12 years. So a lot of these guys that came to race the track, they were just learning to ride bikes when the race finished. So they were all pretty honoured to be able to get the opportunity to actually race on the Psychosis course.
Yeah, so it's a huge deal for Golden to have this race back. I mean, as we've said, it's absolutely legendary. I mean, you look at the list of names. The last man to win it was Sam Hill. That legendary segment in Seasons where Stevie Smith goes out to race with Tyler Moylan and Sam Hill's there, to see Stevie like fanning out on Sam Hill. And now it's back. So what's it going to take for these modern athletes to be able to tackle it? I mean, Chris Kavarik holding the course record up until this year. We'll see how it holds up with guys like Finn in the mix. But what's it going to take for these modern athletes to tame Dead Dog?
Well, the Dead Dog, for me, the racing always started at the bottom of the Dead Dog. So if you could actually hang on and survive Dead Dog, which is survival, Then you could start racing at the bottom of Dead Dog, but if you crash on Dead Dog, you're gonna lose so much time. So I was lucky to be at the top doing sweep after the training, and I was with Brett. Reader was just about to drop in, and he's just tucking in his race shirt, and I just joked, "Oh, you're putting your big boy pants on, Brett?" And he's like, "Well, I got my big boy pants on, but I just don't think they're big enough." And with that, he just dropped into Dead Dog and disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, when the riders are talking about, when the riders are talking about being under full braking and still not be able to go slow enough in a race run, that really says it all. Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit. Jason, we had dual slalom yesterday up at Kicking Horse Resort. First time it's been dual, and a huge shakeup on the men's side. We didn't get the bracket up earlier, but you were there, you saw it. Tell us a little bit about what happened in the men's race there in the Kicking Horse dual slalom.
Well, I got to tip my hat to my buddy here, Andy, who picked Cruz to win it all yesterday. So he had some sort of inside track on that. I think it's just typical racing. One little slip up on a short course and you're down a few seconds, and it was hard to make time. It was super impressive watching the young guys go. Finn and Bass, who we thought would be at the top, still battled it out. And I picked Finn to win that, and he did, but unfortunately it was for third and not for first. But yeah, the track proved to be as entertaining as we kind of anticipated. Short courses always make for good races.
Big time, yeah. Props to the course builders up at Kicking Horse Mountain Resort for putting that thing together. That was amazing. Guys, we're going to catch up with you a little bit later. Right now, kind of moving on, we're going to check in with Phil Metz, pro rider for GT, and have a little tune-up on Skills with Phil.
All right, let's talk about a technique where we can temporarily increase our traction to change directions. Let's head to the top and see what this looks like. This technique is different from the normal turning technique because we can only use it to make quick changes on the trail. It's similar to pumping, where you need to drop down low and drive through our legs to push us in the direction we want to go. We can only use this temporarily to increase our weight and generate traction to our tires. So I hope you guys find this tip helpful and helps you have more fun out on the trails this summer. As always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today, and I'll see you guys next time.
Well, it's lovely watching Skills with Phil there. Flat corners critical for dual slalom. Grip also critical. Now it's Friday here in Whistler, Friday hopefully all around the world. That means Maxxis Friday Motivation. Our guest today, no stranger to motivation, World Cup rider, hardline winner, perennial whip-off favorite, the man, Bernard Kerr. Welcome to Crankworx.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, how's it going?
Oh, it's awesome. So stoked to have live racing back in our lives.
I know. I wish I was there instead of sitting at home, but hopefully one day we might get some racing going over here.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we're all looking forward to welcoming the bike world back into the Crankworx world, and hoping we can all see each other very soon. So I want to talk about when you do get back to racing. Obviously, routine is a big part of being a top racer. Now you have had success at the top levels of mountain biking all across the board. How important is routine to you on a day-to-day basis? What does that kind of look like for you?
It has to be important. If you want to do well at anything, you really have to concentrate and go all in. So day-to-day basis, we train like gym 3 days a week and ride like a cardio 3 days a week. So you 6 days on, 1 day off. So that's the average week.
Okay, now run us a little bit here through your pre-race warm-up. This has probably got to be the most critical part for getting your head right and your body right.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you can see there, I do a 5-minute ride warm-up on a turbo trainer, do some jump lunges, do my little body twist things, try and get like the core engaged, the push-ups, and then another 3-minute ride back on the bike to get my legs spinning again, and then super hard sprints. So you really want to feel like you're in a race run and it's like you're doing a sprint. So then your legs, like, I guess they know what's coming up. And then, yeah, cruise around on my downhill bike for 5 minutes or so. And then I normally stop literally 5 minutes before my run, and I'll sit there and just wait. So the last 5 minutes, I didn't do anything, but that's the warm-up going into it.
All right, so you're fired up, body's ready, you're cooking, you're on fire, and then boom, you lay down the run of your life. What does your post-race look like? How do you come down from that?
Well, hopefully we've laid down the run of my life. Probably have a beer. Honestly, if it's a good day, the whole crew, we've got to have a beer. But if we've done real well, we'll get like mojitos or something. Everyone makes fun of me for it on the team, but I don't know. We think it's kind of funny, and I like the way they taste, so that's probably what we'll do.
All right, so Maxxis Friday Motivation, you're a Maxxis team rider. You've got a huge selection to choose from. I want you to tell me your favorite tire that you could put on your bike day in, day out, if you had to choose one.
Honestly, a Minion DHF, it's a classic tire. It's been around so long, and it's just amazing. It's like a legend of tires. It's like this Psychosis race. It is the legend of tires. Honestly, the DHF is the tire of choice. I know every other tire brand's jealous of it.
Totally. That's, I mean, you see so many the original. Now, you are unfortunately, well, for you, I guess right now, you're at home, probably wishing you're at Psychosis. It seems the race right up your alley. Yeah. If you were there, you've seen the highlights, you've seen some of those course previews. What tire would you have put on your bike, or what tires to race that track?
I'd have a DHF up front, but definitely a DHR2 on the rear. As you see at the top, it's super, super steep, and the DHR2 has a more flat edge for braking, so you could see the guys on for dear life at the top. So I'd have a DHR2 on the rear for sure for that.
No doubt. Yeah, it was unreal to see Trevor there in the course preview talking about his back tire hadn't actually spun yet. All right, Bernard, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you, kind of hear what you've got to say. Thank you for joining us here on Crankworx Connect today. All right, we are moving on. We want to talk a little bit about the Norco factory team. They have gone with the youth approach. The young athletes on the Norco team right now are absolutely slaying. We saw Lucas Cruz taking the gold yesterday in the dual slalom. We're going to catch members of the Norco factory team. Let's see what Lucy Schick had to say. Hey guys, I am here with up-and-coming Norco pro rider Lucy Schick. Lucy, getting the invite, the call up with the pros for the Clif Summer Series here at Crankworx. Lucy, how you doing out there at Kicking Horse?
I'm doing super good. It's been a wicked time, like a week in already, and I'm loving Kicking Horse, so it's been a lot of fun.
All right, so I want to dig in a little bit to your past and your pathway to where you're at now. You grew up in Sechelt on the Sunshine Coast. What got you into mountain biking, and how did you kind of transition from, I guess, dabbling in it to where you are now, you know, kind of pursuing a career as a pro rider?
So it started way back in grade 10 when I won a mountain bike through Bike to Work Week. And also that year we happened to have a mountain bike team at my high school. So I joined it. I was the only girl, but I got a full suspension mountain bike, and I thought it was the sickest thing ever. And yeah, I just kind of started then, just following them down trails and getting to know how to ride a bike. Yeah, I just loving it even more, and then I started racing, and yeah, moved into enduro.
Cool. So you've been pursuing enduro on the Norco Canadian Enduro Series and a little bit kind of dabbling in Enduro World Series, or are you going full pull with EWS when it comes back?
I will be doing mostly EWS when it comes back. I did almost the entire season last year of EWS, and I loved it. I also loved the Canadian National Enduro Series. It's a great starting ground, and some of them are even like harder than the EWS I've done. So it's really good training, and it's great to have such a good series back here in Canada. I feel like it really prepared me well for going to Europe and racing EWS with, again, all the pros and stuff.
Yeah, so speaking of going to Europe and racing, a lot of people have been kind of comparing the Kicking Horse enduro track here on the Clif Summer Series to some of the European stops on the Enduro World Series. What do you make of that comparison?
Yeah, I found it very similar, especially to Zermatt last year. They have that high alpine kind of rocky stage to start it off, and they were both really similar. They also had a bit more pedaling than last week, and I did notice it was a lot more like EWS, and I definitely thrived in it, and I really enjoyed it more.
Cool. So you're part of the Norco team. I heard that you guys did a team trip to Pemberton. What was that all about? It looked awesome.
Yeah, we spent a day filming all over Pemberton. It was a blast. We were at Lucas's house, which is has like a pump track and dirt jumps. A lot of fun. Like, you never get bored there.
Yeah, the cruise compound, those guys have they've got it put together pretty well. If you love biking, there's, like you said, a little bit of everything. So how important is it? You know, obviously one of the is those jumps. Are you hitting those giant jumps with Lucas?
I did actually hit the first one. I was pretty stoked. I did it on my trail bike, so my Norco site, which wasn't the ideal bike for it, but I managed, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's sick. I mean, that's one of the best things about being part of a team is everybody brings everyone else up and you all gain something from it. So stoked on that. Congratulations. I want to go now a little bit into the future and the present. So you're ticking along, it's COVID, you're hanging at home trying to train, and then you get the call from Crankworx to join the summer series. How did that feel to know you were going racing again?
I was so excited. I kind of heard some rumors about it, but I never thought I would be invited. So I was super happy to get the call. And it's been a blast. Like, racing against all these women is pretty inspiring. I've looked up to them for a long time. So racing alongside of them is pretty special.
Lucy, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on Crankworx Connect. It's always a pleasure to catch up with young up-and-coming athletes. We wish you the best of luck in the rest of the Clif Crankworx Summer Series and on the rest of your stellar mountain bike career. Thanks so much, Lucy.
Thank you so much for having me.
I built this trail a few years ago, and we're out here today just clearing some of the turns, clearing some of the lips. You know, a bit of organic material's been kind of slumping over the lips, making it a bit sketchier than it needs to be, and yeah, just doing a bit of maintenance. One of the main things I had in mind while building this trail was kind of keeping it wide so that a few different lines develop, and just so it kind of simulates a bit more of a World Cup track where there's lots of line choice and you got to just think a bit more to get down the hill rather than just looking ahead. When this trail first got put up, not too many people learn about it, but it's so awesome seeing power tracks and people still riding it and loving it and just taking advantage of the awesome backyard we live in.
Welcome to the Clif Athlete Panel, part of the Crankworx Summer Series. We're here with two of Clif's premier athletes in very different sports. A big part of the Clif brand is clean eating, plant-based eating, and both of these athletes have dedicated their lives to that through surfing for Zoe McDougall and mountain biking for Casey Brown. Welcome, Casey and Zoe.
Hey. Hi.
All right, guys. So, I really kind of am interested to hear because your sports are so different, and I have to imagine the crossover between the QS and the pro surfing world and all of the different things, the Crankworx Tour and everything else that you're doing, Casey. As a pro surfer, do you see, Zoe, any similarities in what you're doing and what Casey's doing?
Yeah, maybe. I think me and Casey are both very dedicated to our sport, and one thing I love about Clif Bar is that it's introduced me to so many athletes of different sports that I'd never been involved in before. So when I met Casey, I was so interested to just know about how she trains and everything that goes into it. And I think that was really inspiring to me to see another female athlete that loves her sport as much as I do, but we're in totally different worlds.
Yeah, Casey, you can maybe address that as well. Anything that you've sort of seen in what Zoe's doing that matches yours?
Yeah, I think our training could potentially be kind of similar. You need strong legs for surfing. You need strong arms for surfing. I mean, same for mountain bikes, good core. So yeah, I feel like there are some similarities.
One of the things that I think is fairly parallel between the two of you guys is on the competition side of things, you guys are constantly pushing the boundaries. So Casey, a typical day of competition for you, whether it's a Crankworx day, whether it's you know, EWS or World Cup Downhill, what does that look like for you, both mentally and physically?
I think it's different every time, just because, I mean, just being adaptable to the conditions and being adaptable to whatever the day throws at you is really important, because you can have a routine as much as you want, really, but things always change and come up, and there's distractions, there's all kinds of things that can throw you off. So I think just being not only physically agile but mentally agile as well, and being able to kind of take whatever comes at you during the day and be able to stay focused and find your way through it. How about you, Zoe?
I think you nailed it with just adaptation. I think competition is all about just waking up and kind of assessing the day, and surfing the conditions change daily. So
you guys get a lot of like holds and stuff because of the swell changes, and like then it's postponed to the next day. That must be really hard mentally, like waking up thinking you're going to compete, and then
it can be pretty frustrating when you just want to, you're just ready, you want to go, and you're just ready, set, like, hold on.
Okay, guys, so you guys both have, I feel like, similar values towards the way you're eating and the way you're fueling your bodies, you know, for your athletic performances. Maybe Zoe, can you describe a little bit what you're doing to fuel yourself, to get yourself ready for performance?
Competition days, I like to just feel light and not have too much in my stomach. So I love just to have like maybe half of a Clif bar or a couple energy blocks. But I think the most important thing for surfing, with how much you're in the salt water, is hydration. Just constantly staying hydrated and electrolytes throughout the day. Yeah, how about you, Case?
Yeah, I think, staying hydrated, because so many people don't understand how you can dilute your body by just drinking plain water and not have enough electrolytes, and that can be pretty dangerous. So yeah, I actually put my Clif blocks in my water bottle some days and they just dissolve slowly, and then I can fill it up again and like have a couple water bottles full of like whatever flavor I want, because oh man, I love salted watermelon, so good.
Salted watermelon.
Pro tips there from the Clif team, the dissolving the blocks in the water bottle. I think that one's going to go viral. And if you want to be hungry in competition, you got to stay hungry in real life. I like that. All right, guys. Well, on behalf of the Crankworx family, I want to thank you for joining us here in the Clif. Really interesting to catch up, find out what training looks like, what you guys have been up to, and what you're going to be up to soon. So here we are from the Clif athlete panel. We'll catch you all later. Enjoy the rest of your time, and good luck out there, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Derek.
All right, so if you're thinking about entering a downhill or an enduro race this summer, I have some tips that might help you out. So we're standing in a section that is going to trip a lot of riders up. A lot of riders are going to be naturally drawn to the inside of this turn. The issue is that we have a bit of a punchy climb here, and so that means we're going to lose all our momentum, and we're going to be slow to get our speed back up. Let's grab our bike and head to the top. This is how a lot of riders might approach the section. Take the inside here, and then here we get stuck in a bomb hole, and I was in a bad gear, which is actually probably what a lot of riders will do. Now, one of the things that you'll see some of the more advanced riders doing is they'll get some of their turning done earlier by swinging up high, so they can exit higher here and maintain a little bit more speed. That's one of the reasons why a lot of the fast riders are fast. It's not just because they're more talented, it's because they do a lot of planning for their race runs. Let's take a look at what you should do. So we know we need to swing high at the end. So swing high right here, off the brakes, same gear, exited with a lot more speed. That's a tip to work more efficiently. I hope these tips will help you have more fun out on the trail. Always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today, and I'll see you guys next time.
It's so fascinating to look inside the minds of the what they do to get themselves ready for the mind-blowing moments that they provide us. Now, speaking of mind-blowing moments, we have them coming up. We are in line for the Maxxis DH from Kicking Horse Mountain Resort today. I'm sitting here in the beautiful Weston Resort and Spa in Whistler, but Kicking Horse and Golden, BC is where it's at. Those guys are firing in the downhill, just about ready to kick off. We're going to have the broadcast right after this. And big part of that, of course, the Psychosis results and highlights package. Let's take a look at who's racing on the Maxxis Kicking Horse DH today. Women's side, Ainoa Yurko back in the mix. She was out with injury from Silver Star, but she's back. We'll be stoked to see her pitting herself against those pros, Leonie Picton, Georgia Astle, and then as we move down, will Viaver Beach, she's going to be dropping last for the women as she is hitting first overall on the ladies' side. Can't wait to see what happens. That's going to be rough and exciting on that new, or not new track, but the new to us at Crankworx track. First, on the men's side, lots at stake for the guys in the Clif Crankworx Summer Series. All right, just kidding. We're going to let that play out as it will. Let's go back to our co-hosts, fans of the week. Andy and Jason, you guys are on the ground in Golden. Now, you know, we talked about Friday motivation. Friday motivation, also part of Crankworx is partying. You guys are ready for a big watch of the downhill and to check out Psychosis on your home turf.
Yeah, for certain.
Yeah. Starting early. Some Psychosis beer.
Psychosis beer. You can't, like Casey said, you can't dilute your body too much. So I prefer a nice White Truth double IPA Psychosis beer. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no different. She said the electrolytes are important. I'm pretty sure there's electrolytes in those Psychosis pints. You got to enjoy the racing. Crankworx is fun. You guys clearly no strangers to having a good time. I want to dig into the downhill today with you guys. You know the track, you know the ground, you're Golden locals, Kicking Horse riders. Tell me, who do you like on the downhill track today?
It's got to be Finn. It's a rough, raw track. Like, it'll be prime conditions after the rain last night. I go with Finn.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Downhillers are downhillers. He's a fast kid. He's going to eat up this track. And like Andy said, conditions are going to be all time today for everybody. So I think he's going to just take full advantage of that. The ladies, I think it might be a little bit more of a mix-up. I think the ladies, you can see, I still think Via's going to take it, but ALN's been chomping at it the bit, and she's been closing that gap. Miranda's have been fast. The top four girls have really created a fun battle to watch. It's been really tight, and things are starting to bounce around for them. So I'm excited to see how that goes down.
Yeah, Via. I think Miranda will give her a good push, give her a run for her money for certain, but I think Via will take it.
All right, well, there are the predictions on the table. Andy and Jason, you guys on the ground at Kicking Horse in Golden, BC. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been absolutely vital getting your inside track on what's going on the ground, on location. Fans of the week, Andy and Jason, huge thanks to you. Guys, it's time. We are ticking down the seconds to live downhill racing. Stay on Crankworx. Make sure you're here. We are going live, crankworx.com, on Pink Bike. Pints out if you want, party time. It's downhill time. Maxxis, Kicking Horse DH, and the highlights package for the Psychosis. First time in 12 years. I cannot wait. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here at Crankworx Connect. We're going live to downhill racing right now, and I'll see you next week.
time to step up and be the fastest from the start to the finish.
When I ride well, I hit the marks, all of them.
Trying to make a run for the overall for sure. Try to be consistent everywhere.
That's the biggest lesson. Don't give up.
Happy Friday, mountain bike race fans. What do you say we do some downhill today? Stop number 2 of the Clif Crankworx Summer Series. Live action coming at you from Kicking Horse Mountain Resort near Golden, British Columbia. I could not possibly be more excited to watch some downhill on this track. We've seen some previews. It is a real downhill track. Do not worry about it. I'm your host, Cam McCall, alongside my friend who has the best giggle in the game, the jack of many trades. The talent in which we are going to exploit today is his wisdom and expertise over the sport of downhill mountain bike racing. Elliot Jackson with 1L. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Like you said, today is downhill day. For some reason, Cam, I just have a little bit of adrenaline pumping through. I don't know what happened before the broadcast, but it must have really got us going because I'm loving it, and I think just having every day be race day, getting to talk to my friends afterward, and then get to do it again the next day is awesome.
It's remarkable we're able to be a part of this action coming from Kicking Horse Mountain Resort. I'm hanging out in Bend, Oregon. You're hanging out in California. Production Nerve Center in Montreal. But racing happening right here. Zoom it down in. There we go. The continent of North America. We're in the province of BC, British Columbia, in the great country of Canada. This bike park, Kicking Horse Mountain Resort, 3,700 feet vertical. Lift access trails, 50 kilometers of trails, and the one we're going to be racing on today was a part of one of the stages in the enduro race, which took place a few days ago. This is day 4 of racing for these athletes who are being put through the ringer. We had enduro, we had psychosis. Okay, it's all about downhill, everything from technical rocks and roots into the bottom section with flat grass corners. What is this Clif Crankworx Summer Series all about? 25 invited athletes from BC, 17 men, 18 women. They're competing in enduro, air DH, dual slalom, and straight up regular old downhill. 3 weeks in a row, Silver Star. Now we're in Kicking Horse. We will wrap things up next week at Sun Peaks. But after a long hiatus, the legendary downhill race, Psychosis, returned thanks to the emergence of the Clif Crankworx Summer Series. It hasn't been run since 2008. So obviously this was something that was kind of a surprise for race fans and the racers alike. It happened a couple days ago. We haven't revealed the results yet, and everybody's just on pins and needles wondering who the next person is to kind of grab that very coveted title. People like Sam Hill, Chris Kovarik have won it. It's always held on a pedestal. When you think of Mount 7 Psychosis, Elliot, what runs through your head?
Man, I had to go back and look at some old footage, and it's extremes, right? Like you come out of the gate and you're on the brakes, trying to slow down. You can't slow down. You're speeding up as you're braking as hard as you can, but then you also have hike bikes. So it's a bit of everything, like the steepest downs, the steepest ups that you're ever going to ride on a downhill track, and then everything in between.
If you're a fan of this sport, it doesn't get much more exciting than this, and that's part of the reason why event organizers kept it quiet. They didn't want everybody coming out to watch this race. You can't have too many spectators these days, but what we have for you right now is an opportunity to let you feel like you're course side during practice, a little raw action from Mount 7 Psychosis practice. Take a look.
Oh my God, Finn! Oh my God! Are you okay? Oh. Yeah, Alan. Yeah, Jesse.
So there's an idea of what it looks trackside. Now keep in mind, the last time Mount 7 Psychosis was run in 2008, the winning time was around 13 minutes. That was Chris Kavarik. So you got to imagine it's kind of hard to understand the whole scale of the course by just checking out some of those views. Luckily, we have a separate piece of content for you to check out what it looks like from the air, drone footage of Mount 7 Psychosis. And the first shot you're going to see is an aerial view of the start. This has to be the most spectacular start to any downhill race. It looks reminiscent of Red Bull Rampage. Look at that, very top of the mountain. There's actually a bunch right from the top of that thing, Elliot.
Yeah, man. So I think one of the things to take a look at here, that left side looks like it's incredibly steep, but we'll go all the way around this, and the trail is equally as steep. So it's one of those things where it's just, it's incredible. It's super incredible.
The thing about steep terrain is it never fails. The camera angles never do justice. So this is the best we're going to be able to do right here. I feel like this is getting close to understanding how steep it is, but just look at the posture of this rider right here, doing all they can to make sure that their speed doesn't get out of control and plow into that camera operator. I talked to Brett Reeder earlier today. He was talking about how during the race he had some issues, hurt his elbow, but he was just talking about how what an amazing experience it was to just be able to practice and do a race run on this course. He's a guy, you're seeing him on, oh no, that's Seth Sherlock on screen right now. But to hear Brett Reeder say that the top of it is basically a section that is the same vertical drop as Rampage. He's a guy who's won Rampage before, second last year. And we're looking at this view right here. I don't think you could possibly get a better view than this. Drone pilot is going all out. Could you imagine holding onto the handlebars for that long?
It's just crazy, right? Like, you saw his back tires sliding around. I think that's one of the things. Sometimes you slide it just so you can stop, right? Like if you're going in a straight line, you're kind of just like augering in. But if you can, when you have something that steep, like just swinging your bike around, trying to do everything you can just to slow down is it's just good grief.
It's not just for style. It's like a utilitarian free ride
Totally.
flick. Like your brakes aren't going to do enough. Even if your wheels aren't moving, you're still picking up speed. So you see them slashing that back tire back and forth, almost like big mountain skiers, you know, using both sides of their skis, edging to try to slow down. But this track has so many different parts of its personality. It starts out steep, but then we saw the footage trackside in the woods. But one thing we didn't see is, remember about the hike-a-bike? There's actually a part where you got to get off, right?
Yeah, I know. Imagine like you just pin going as fast as you can, and you're like, right, yeah, okay, let me unclip, hop off my bike, run, and then get back on the bike and try to pin it, I guess, like after running, like you're so out of breath, hop back into one of those steep sections. It's just insane.
So now we have an understanding of what that course is like. I'm sure all you race fans are wondering, well, how did the race go? Come on, just tell us already. Okay, fine. The time has come. Drum roll, please. Check out a race recap from Mount 7 Psychosis, part of the Clif Crankworx Summer Series.
Cool. The coolest part is that you know you're in for like 15 minutes of sick riding. Once you get past the terrifying bit.
Oh my god, Finn! Oh! Dude, that was so rowdy!
I broke the tree!
I'm excited. I've ridden this a few times, so pretty happy that I get to race it. It's always been a bit of a dream of mine.
I was just pretty much like telling myself to be patient and just push it as hard as I could on the climbs and stuff, and I guess that combination worked out.
Pretty historic to have the chance to race this again, so like really a big thank you to everyone in Golden and Trevor who made that race possible for us. I remember watching the videos and just being mind blown about the riding that these guys were putting down on this track, so yeah, it's a lot.
You win that event, you've accomplished something that is so impressive, and you've joined an elite club if you've taken the top spot at Mount 7 Psychosis. Let's take a look at the final results from the women's category. Psychosis downhill. Look at that, Elliot.
Man, oh man, again, it's so wild to think that after 14 minutes you could only be 4.5 seconds behind, and two different people. I know Georgia has just the skills to ride anything, and same with ALN. Like, I think she's really coming into her own, racing herself into all these different disciplines. It's awesome to see.
How about the gap between first and fourth? 45 seconds. It's got to be a heater that ALN was on for that winning run. Let's see if we can find out how that run went. We got a headset on her. Let's talk to ALN. ALN, thanks for joining us. You have obviously been settling into your stride based on the recent results. Second in the slalom yesterday. We just saw the Psychosis results. You took the win. Have you been surprising yourself? Did you know you were so well-rounded?
Yeah, I've been surprising myself. I can definitely say that. Slalom yesterday was a big surprise. And then Psychosis is just legendary. Like, I have no other words. It was so sick. The hype was real for everyone there. And I actually can't believe I came out on top after this epic run down Mount 7. It was unreal.
And, transitioning to the downhill bike, what has that been like? What are some of the biggest things that you learned about yourself and about the bike at Mount 7?
Okay, I admit my guilt of having raced the Psychosis Rebirth on my trail bike. Oh, I feel so guilty about it. But Like for me, it was about feeling the most confident I could. And in the steeps, I don't have my downhill bike completely figured out yet. So I just opted for the most confident and in control I could feel. And if you've ever been on Mount 7, you're like not at all in control. So I'm working to set up my bike during this series, like my new DH bike. So today we're just practicing the kicking horse Maxxis DH, and I'll be racing my DH. But yeah, I went with safety and kind of what I knew, but I feel a bit guilty about it.
Jeez, hey, whatever works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. As if we weren't already impressed enough that you took the win, we just find out that you were on your enduro bike. So keep on doing what you're doing. It's obviously working. Good luck in the downhill today, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you. I will need lots of luck today. It looks gnarly. Lots of rock slabs, big old grass finish is going to be a real DH.
Wow, impressive, 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 Elliot Jackson. We saw in that highlight reel that Henry Fitzgerald was on the top step of the podium. Here's a look at the full results.
Good grief. Henry, he's one of those, he's a sleeper, man. Like, you see him at the World Cups as well. When you watch him ride, he's one of those people that you would say, like, he has to be winning because he looks so good, so fast. So to beat somebody like Finn by almost 10 seconds, and then for Reese Ronan to be right there, Kirk, and I'm not sure what happened to Mark, but I know that would be an event that I would assume that he would be right up in the mix with as well. So
I'm sure that on a track that long, there's plenty of opportunities for things to happen and stuff to get crazy. I mean, there's races that are that long. It's not the only one, but what you have to do top to bottom in Psychosis is definitely otherworldly. So it's very cool to have that race back again. But you know what else would be cool? To talk to the man who won it. Let's throw a headset on him. Henry Fitzgerald, thanks for joining us. We just got to watch a ton of footage of the Psychosis race, and the results were finally revealed to us. So first of all, congratulations on taking the win. And the question that I have for you is, watching that footage, the amount of skidding at the top and then still so much riding, 11 minutes overall, my arms would not be able to hold on to the handlebars. Did you have full-on claw hands at the bottom?
Honestly, my hands weren't the problem. There's just kind of everything else that was just so cooked that, yeah. But I was pretty surprised that my hands weren't the problem because I had a few practice runs where they got pretty pumped up. But yeah, in the finals run, it really didn't affect it too much.
And Henry, this is Elliot. The only race I can compare Psychosis to is Garbanzo. The times are pretty similar. How do those two compare? Totally. Because I know everyone can ride Garbanzo, but they can't ride Psychosis.
I definitely felt like Psychosis was harder, maybe because of the off the bike run, which I guess is just kind of something I'm not used to, and just got me working in ways that I didn't even know I could work in. And kind of Garbanzo is the same length, but there's only really that first little pedal and then the bottom sprint. And I don't know, there's just kind of a few more pedals riddled through this one, or through Psychosis, and on top of that there was the hiker bike. And yeah, I don't know, maybe also the heat had to play with it. It was so hot the other day, and yeah, I definitely felt so cooked from that, and a lot more cooked than I was after Garbanzo. Not to say that I wasn't fully done after Garbanzo.
Well, congratulations, Henry. It's a legendary race that hasn't taken place in so many years, so now you're the guy to beat. Hopefully we get to see people racing on that course again sometime in the near future. You got a big target on your back, and congratulations for that.
Thank you very much.
Man, Clif Crankworx Summer Series, 3 weeks, 12 races, one of which was Mount 7 Psychosis. What a great opportunity to bring that race out of hibernation.
Discover the best trails in the world. Trailforks. Download the app today.
Means down. Welcome back, race fans. It's Friday, and on the Clif Crankworx Summer Series, that means downhill. We're moments away from dropping our athletes, giving them an opportunity to earn some more points and hopefully win this coveted title, this 3-week series. We're in the middle of week 2 right now, and man, Kicking Horse has been delivering. The enduro was insane, slalom insane, and then if that wasn't insane enough, we had Psychosis. But today, the downhill course is all time. Why don't we take this opportunity to take a look at it? Here's the Stands course preview with Trevor Burke and ALN.
What's up, guys? Trevor Burke here for GT Bikes. I'm standing at the top of the Maxxis Kicking Horse downhill course with Adrian Nadeau, aka ALN. It's been a wild week at the Clif Crankworx Summer Series. It's about to get more wild. Let's go get your Stands course preview done. Woo! Jumping in Pioneer. Bashan. Start down the track. Wouldn't drop into a rock slab. Starts off pretty hectic straight away. It's on. ALN straight in your first rock slab, like 10 seconds in. Back into another rock slab. Nice little catch bam. Stop Miller. Down this Rudy chute. Then we get that nice high line, sets us up good to that corner. Oh. Woo. We did everything on this trail. Rock slabs, roots, big holes, steeps. A lot of slippery routes right now. Hopefully dries up for racing. If not, people are gonna get real wild.
Okay, new track. We're off the enduro course that we did. So I don't know what these are. Feel sick. Probably a rest and recollect. Oh!
These are the bars through these tight trees. They don't make it. They're following ALN in this little highline root gap. Woo! Super rooty and muddy here. Whoa, on these rocks in this fresh section. Oh, Coming close to the finish now. Little natural berms. Whoa! Loose! Freshly cut trail for us. Thanks, Kicking Horse. It is like grass turn. Holy crap! It's super wild. Off camera, a lot of people are gonna bin it. See it. Woo. And then maybe try the inside straight to the finish line. Whoa, I'll go miss this pole. Woo. And across the line. Woo. And that's your Sands course preview for the Maxxis Kicking Horse downhill race. The course is super gnarly. Don't forget to tune in at 2:30 Pacific time to watch the action go down.
Especially the last finish straight.
Woo, it's wild.
So now you know what the course is all about. Let's get to some racing. Picking her up in the middle of her run right here. I know how Yurko on course.
Right there was where Trevor tried to put his bars through that tree. I've never seen anything like that before. I feel like there's three things that stood out for me on this course. One, that it's reminiscent of Mount St. Anne. You have rock slabs and those turns like you saw Yurko go through. I'll skip to my number 3, which is these grass turns, which are incredibly steep. I've never ridden any grass turns that are loose and open like that, in addition to being on this crazy steep incline. And my number 2 is that ALN is pinned, so I'm excited to see how she does. But Yurko coming through.
There we go. First rider to cross the finish line, so obviously she'll slot in to first place. The time to beat 3 minutes and 50 seconds from the youngest competitor in our women's field. Speaking of that women's field, let's take a look at what the Crankworx Summer Series overall standings look like for the women, Elliot.
Yeah, we see ALN like slowly but surely creeping up, and Baya still in the lead there. So, you know, she doesn't think of herself as being a downhill racer. You know, I've always thought of her that way. So I'm interested to see how she does. I know she's ridden Mount St. Anne a lot, and I was talking about how this is a similar course to me, having not been there, but I think she'll fare well here.
Well, the women's field is close enough when you look at those CSS overall standings to the point where this race, the results could definitely shake things up. Next rider about to drop in, 19-year-old from the Sunshine Coast, BC, Lucy Schick.
Yeah, and I was looking through her Instagram. She's not a downhill racer. She hasn't done that many downhill races, but she is, I think, naturally gifted at it, because I maybe had mentioned that before, but she got 4th in her first downhill race on her trail bike. So, you know, with her being on this downhill bike now, I think it's just going to help. There's a couple of spots here. I think the riders have ridden that top part in the enduro.
This is, judging by that course preview, this is where they get off of that stage that they were familiar with, and they go into this unknown territory. It's nice because you figure they're racing 4 days in a row. It's nice that they were able to kind of practice for downhill while doing the enduro, but you got to figure, we watched them all day yesterday doing slalom. They weren't practicing on this course. They had to cram study for this race.
I know, that's such an interesting thing. I think most people would be, you normally have like a Saturday practice and a Sunday race, but they're doing everything in one day. So it's a battle. And I wonder if the enduro racers feel more comfortable, you know, because they're so used to learning stuff. Lucy going through these turns at the bottom. I think this one's kind of the tightest one.
It looked so slick this morning in practice when it was just wet grass. I feel like, do you think it's going to be more traction the more traffic this course gets and some of that grass goes away?
I wonder. So Lucy was just a little bit off of Yurko's time, and I think that there's, when you have grass that kind of gets eaten away, sometimes it can get more traction, but then at the same time you have these, I don't even know. It's almost like little tiny roots, right? Like you shave off all the good stuff on the grass that could give you traction, and it's just like these bare bones.
So this is a look at our start list right here. We saw Anoa Ayurko drop first. Lucy Schick came through in second place. We still have yet to go Georgia Astle, Miranda Miller, ALN, Casey Brown, and the overall leader at this moment in time, Via Verbeek. So I like how they're doing this. They're dropping them in reverse order of their overall standings. So right now, Georgia Astle, an opportunity to pick up some points. She's currently sitting in 5th place. But we spoke with her before Psychosis, and this is what she had to say.
Well, I mean, for sure Psychosis, but I'm so excited and I feel like it's going to be really cool. Like, it obviously be really cool if we got to keep racing this year after year, but I mean, looking at the history books, it's pretty iconic that we get to do this. And I've heard some talk of a really large finishing jump and the insane steeps at the top. So no matter what, Psychosis is going to be crazy for all of us. But I'm so excited for it. It's going to be insane.
And it was insane. What do you think? Is it like El Nino, a storm cycle that only comes around every few years, or do you think we're going to see this again next year?
Well, I mean, that's something to be said. I think as a racer, when you get that chance, like we've all grown up watching that, you know, watching Stevie and watching Sam Hill on those courses. So you're building up in your mind, like, you know, you're like, oh yeah, like I would have done that. Couldn't have been that bad. Or like, I'm so excited. I know it's gnarly, but so to get the opportunity to do that as a racer is really special. And I think that's kind of what Georgia was talking about is you have to make the most of it and enjoy it while you have the chance.
And enjoy it, then go to sleep and wake up and race slalom, and then go to sleep and wake up and race downhill, non-stop, relentless format here as we find ourselves in the middle of the Maxxis Kicking Horse downhill race. I know Ayurko currently sitting in the top spot, but plenty more to challenge that time left to go.
I was a quick note about Psychosis that I thought was really interesting was back the last time he raced it, Chris Kabarik won it with a 12:35, and Claire Bouchard won the women's with the 17:02. And this year, you know, Finn won it with an 11, or I mean, I'm sorry, Henry won it with an 11 something, and ALN won it with a 14:32. So the gap was only 3 minutes this time, a little bit less than 3 minutes. So I think the women's racing, you can see how much more competitive it is. So here's
Yeah, I mean,
Georgia.
That's just a tangible piece of evidence to show how much progression there's been in the women's field in the last few years. We've seen that on the Crankworx World Tour, and it is not slowing down. It's an exponential curve of progression for the women. We have our next competitor on course right now, which should be who we just heard from, Georgia Astle. Let's see if we can catch her on screen. There she is.
You know, and I keep like having this kind of same train of thought of like these Canadian riders riding these Canadian tracks, but it's also interesting because they're all Canadians. So, and Georgia's just pinned. I think that it's always interesting when you have these types of tracks. The top part we saw in the course preview was really rock slabby, really rough, and then you have a pedal in the middle, and then you get back into the roughness. So Georgia looks super aggressive. Like you can tell she's really like moving the bike around, really going through the rough stuff super fast. I think this is probably going to be our top time.
Yeah, she's charging. The time to beat is a 3:50. She's sitting at 3:20 right now, so 30 seconds left to cross the finish line if she's going to take over the lead. She's already in the final flat turns.
Yeah, it's I think it says something when you do get that good result and you can get some confidence. Just like knowing that you can ride, you know, just knowing that you can do it. But I mean, you're talking about the women's field being close, and she's only 5 seconds up. It's a lot, but it's not that much.
I mean, that's good for Ayurko. You know, she held on to that top spot for one rider, and then she's only 5 seconds back here. So the youngster holding her own, but Georgia Astle knocking Ayurko out of the hot seat.
It sounds like Georgia might have had a little bit of an off-track excursion.
If that's the case, then it would leave the door open here for Miranda Miller to to smash this time if Georgia Astle in fact had an issue. Here's the list of accolades. She's 30 years old. She's got all the experience in the game, and she's the next competitor who has the opportunity to grab that hot seat. I mean, this seems like a course that she would definitely thrive on. Would you agree, Elliot?
I would. I think she's got the Lit Kit award today too. Look good, you ride good, you ride good. No, I'm off. Something like that.
I want
Look
those
good,
bark
feel
busters
good,
back.
feel
I
good,
love
you
the
ride
bark
good.
busters.
Yeah, right. I feel like you're
on the course
busting
where
bark on a
there's
downhill bike.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you take the bark busters off for this track? Be running for everything else. Slalom, you run it for slalom. Maybe it's just, she was planning on using them to smash the gates.
Oh, heard a rim there and a root.
Yeah.
That section, what is it called, Cam?
Some sort of great play on words. It's not the root of all eagles, it's the root of all evil, I think, which makes more sense, but it would be funny if it was just to mess with people. Okay, Miranda Miller, she's got 15 seconds left to cross the finish line in the top spot. She's, of course, going to do it unless something crazy happens here, like an asteroid. Boom, Miranda Miller through the line, 4 seconds ahead of Georgia Astle. That's a new time to beat, 3:40.6. Miranda Miller in the lead.
Yeah, and these riders, I mean, like Henry was talking about the heat. Miranda, I texted her and she said the same thing. Like the heat at Mount 7 was just insane. So going from there into this is, good.
Yeah, slalom was raining, so heat at Psychosis, rain and slalom. At least they're getting good weather here for downhill. But wow. Talk about momentum and coming into your own here. ALN. Let's just break it down. We got her, stats on the screen, but in enduro, boom, she won. Slalom, second place. Psychosis, first place. So obviously she's climbing the ranks there. She's sitting in third place in the CSS Championships. And if I'm one of her competitors, I'm nervous right now because she is on pace.
She is. I feel like that was a perfect, the look she had in that picture goes perfect for this week. She's like, yeah, won a bunch of races, no big deal. Like I said in the helmet cam, man, she looks so fast. You can tell just by the corner speed. Like, slow in, fast out, really she's kind of fast everywhere, but it's like this little part here she'll be super aggressive on. I think they found that high line, like they were talking about in the Root of All Evil section. So she'll go up there and try to just make sure she carries speed, because one thing to look at as she comes out of this section, you can't quite get pedals coming into the little roller and into the turns. So right here is really important. You can't get pedals here, but you need to carry the speed all the way into this next section.
You can tell by watching her ride that physically she's very much on point. And when you hear her talk, you know that her mental focus is peaking as well. So this could be dangerous. But look, she's not in the flat corners yet. She's got 15 seconds to make it through the line. This could be close.
It'll be close.
Oh, it's going to be really close.
It's so nerve-wracking, the bottom.
Come on, go!
Oh,
okay, she is not going to go into the lead, but every ranking spot means more points. ALN through the line in what now would be good enough for third place with two more riders to go. So guaranteed at least fifth place points here, which would be 55 points. Miranda Miller looking cozy in that hot seat.
Oh, wow. Down.
All right, as ALN walks her friends through her runs, we're going to focus on who we have next on track. She's got 540 points, meaning she is 65 points out of the lead behind Via Verbeek. Her name is Casey Brown. She wins whip-offs. She wins enduros. Look out for her in downhill because that is what she is very, very good at with that ODI 420 number plate, looking to do some damage.
I feel like she's just a girl that can do anything. Like anything you put in front of her, no matter what, she's just going to crush it. You put her out in Utah, she'll do some crazy drop out there. You put a downhill course in front of her, you put an enduro course in front of her. She's just an incredible bike rider.
Put her at the top of Corbett's couloir in the winter, and she'll do it. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. So
Yeah,
Casey Brown right now hanging out in 2nd place in the overall, behind Via Verbeek, who will be the last to drop.
Man, that section there is getting so rough. And I think Casey too has just been really consistent this week. She hasn't been able to you know, blow everything out of the water like she did the first week, but you know, she's still right there. So
look at
I think
this!
for her,
Check it out,
oh
Elliot!
My
She's in the middle of the final straightaway. She's got 20 seconds to burn with only 1 rider left to drop. Casey Brown will go into the lead. The question is by how much. She almost gets kicked over the bars, but look at that, by 11 seconds. New time to beat 3:28.7, held by Casey Brown.
Man, oh man.
All right, well, we're going to find out who's going to win here pretty soon. 1 rider left. We caught up with Via Verbeek earlier. This is what she had to say.
It's funny because a lot of people will like refer to me as like the downhill rider, and like I got a downhill background and that's where my strength is. And personally, I actually feel like downhill racing is my weaker spot in Crankworx. And it might come with the fact that it's usually most often the last race of the week. So I've been putting so much energy and so much focus onto all the other events that coming into downhill, I'm like, it's kind of like leftovers. It's like, we'll see what comes out of the last bit of energy or time I have.
Very competitive, and hopefully somebody told her right now that the rider in 2nd place in the overall is now comfortably seated in that red hot seat with a big margin between her and 2nd place. Via Verbeek. Okay. She's gonna see if she can get some more points right here, but this could be the opportunity for Casey Brown to surpass her in that lead unless Via has a perfect run.
Man, I know. Yeah, you've been hearing me talk about how I've kind of always thought about Via as a downhill specialist, just growing up riding World Cups with her. But I think it says something that she's now able to have the Crankworx World Series to show the rest of her talent. She's gonna have to put it down today to make sure that she can to gain points instead of lose points to Casey.
So while we're talking about people's strengths, Via, we heard her just say the downhill is not her strongest. What would you say for Casey Brown? Would you say downhill is her main event?
Man, I don't even know, right? Like, she's just good at everything. She raced World Cups as well. I think all of these women are just so good at everything. It's really cool to see the amount of talent. I don't know if she's gonna be able to do it. It's gonna be so close.
Man, I think Casey looked so good on this course, and I'm just looking at how much time there is between Vi and that finish line right there. Oh, as the clock ticks down, she's only got 3 seconds left. She is not going to do it. Casey Brown will win the race. Vi Verbeek will slot into second place. Wow, the difference there, 15 points. Casey Brown will pick up 15 points. She's 65 back, so she will narrow that margin. She'll still be in second place in the overall. Big win for Casey Brown.
That is. Yeah, she really did need that win to. She needed that win to get some points back on Via.
Yeah. Basically, great defense, would you say?
Right. Yeah.
The best defense is a strong offense.
Right. Yeah, I think you can win the series if you just win the races.
It's like cornhole, you know? I think I figured it out. You got to get the beanbag in the hole, you know? I think I cracked the code.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Turns out it's just simple as that. If you win a lot of races, you get the most points. I cannot believe the week they've had, and to watch these athletes looking so strong. Like Casey just looked on point right there. I'm gonna check in with her. She's got a headset on. Casey, congratulations. Was it a perfect run? We only got to see part of it, but you looked spot on the whole time.
Thanks, Cam. I had a couple little lines that were off, but otherwise it was one of the smoother runs I've had in a really long time. So I'm so stoked.
We're trying to put ourselves in the shoes of the athletes here and try to imagine what it's like to race 4 days in a row. One of those days, in the case of this week, was Psychosis. Are you a little bit more fatigued this week than you were last week after all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really crazy racing every day, and it's so hard on your body. Holy crap, like I've never been so fatigued, and having to just keep going and keep going. It's a true test of how tough you are.
Well, congratulations. You played some good defense right there and got some points to try to narrow that margin between you and Via. I'm on pins and needles. I can't wait to watch you guys race next week.
Thank you, Cam.
Well, what a run for Casey Brown. To hear that she put 2.8 on Via Verbeek and may have had a couple mistakes in there off camera is so impressive. And yeah, even more so than the men's category. It's fun to watch this women's series overall, just shake down because they're so tight.
It's so true. Like, the whole field. There's not really anyone that we were counting out for the win, and like you said, it's just so exciting.
So as the series overall heats up and margins continue to narrow in the women's overall, we will focus our attention over to the men's downhill race and the Maxxis Kicking Horse Downhill. We'll be dropping them in moments. Don't go away.
Unlike our bikes, culture cannot be engineered. It grows from within. Pivot Cycles is a company founded on a commitment to building only the world's best performing mountain bikes. But Pivot Cycles is a company thriving because of deeply committed people who have come together in a way best described as, well, a family.
Discover the best trails in the world. Trailforx. Download the app today.
When it's time to travel again, safely take a trip somewhere outside your ordinary. A journey beyond your own backyard, where people you've just met say, "It's nice to see you," and make you feel like you're in the nicest place with the nicest people. And when you say goodbye, it's like saying bye to family. That's when you know it's more than traveling. It's Canada, where it's always nice to see you.
Big thanks to all the companies supporting the Clif Crankworx Summer Series. You've seen those ODI number plates. ODI, the world leader in grip technology. You've seen the Stan's No Tubes course previews. Stan's brought tubeless to the world. And big thanks to Giant and Liv. Ride Unleashed with Giant. So a great finish to the women's category here at the Maxxis Kicking Horse Downhill. It's time to line up the men. Here's a look at who we have on tap for this race, Elliot.
Yeah, and you know, I've been talking about it. It seems like the Canadians are very well matched. Like they can all ride everything. We see the start list here. One person I really have my eye on is Mark Wallace. You know, he's really good at this rock slab stuff and really technical stuff like that.
That's the thing you said after looking at the course. The first impression you had was that, wow, Mark Wallace could do well on this. Mark Wallace did well yesterday in the slalom. He qualified first, made it all the way into the final round. If you missed slalom, check out this recap.
I'm so stoked. This track's literally the funnest thing ever. And like this morning, I guess those grass corners were a bit sketchy, but now it's like rutted out and it's actually pretty good.
Good to get a first win of the week, qualified back from what I expect out of myself. I just woke up after that and sent it every single matchups I got.
Playing it by feel, and it was definitely variable the whole day and kept changing throughout the whole finals. So I tried to ride how I always ride and gave it my all. It was a pretty fun day.
It was a great slalom race yesterday. We were fortunate enough to be joined by the Crankworx World Tour analyst, Andrew Needling, who joined us for the broadcast. And look, we're a little bit lonely right now. So what do you say we try to get a third member of our team in here? Let's see if this works. With the magical gods of the internet with us. Look at it. It's a 2018 King of Crankworx, Sam Blankensop. What up?
How's it going, guys?
We're good, man. Thanks for joining us. Have you been following all the action on the Clif Crankworx Summer Series from the comfort of your home down there in New Zealand?
Yeah, I have. I watched the slalom yesterday, and it just makes me a little bit envious to go racing. It looks like so much fun that they get to do like all the races every week, and hard work, obviously. But it's I guess if we do ever get to go race World Cups, the Canadian guys have got a head start for sure.
I know, not fair, is it? What do you make of that, Elliot? These guys are getting all this practice. It's not fair.
I know, right? I feel like too, like Sam, you know better than anyone what it takes to like do all these events back to back and win the overall. What do you think they're thinking about mostly when they're doing all this stuff?
I guess for me anyway, for when you're doing the Crankworx, it's just, I guess it's more fun because you're just racing all the time, and then like at a World Cup, you've only got that one event. Like at Crankworx, you've got multiple events. So like if anything does happen, you've got another race the next day, so you don't really have to row too much. So you just have a bit of fun, eh?
Hey, check it out, Sam. Look at this. We are underway here in the men's category in the Maxxis Kicking Horse Downhill. First rider on course looks to be Elliot Jameson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my teammate too. So.
Have you gotten to ride with him at all?
Yep. So I've ridden him all last year. He's a good rider. Eh? He's just a happy kid. Loves riding his bike and just enjoys everything. I've never seen this kid angry. Eh? So it's it's crazy.
So you know a bit about Elliot Jamieson, and now you've seen a bit about this course. Would you say this is a course that would suit his skill set?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, he likes the longer, kind of like fast technical stuff, and the track looks like this. So it looks like a good track for him. So we'll see how he goes.
Well, our first rider for the men's category here, about to cross the finish line as the clock ticks by. The time to beat now at 2:56.3. The bar has been set for the men's category. Elliot Jamieson's going to hop in that hot seat.
Man, and everyone's getting bucked right before the finish line on that little kicker. Hopefully, maybe the grass gets worn down so people can see it a bit. It's like, come to the bottom of the run and you're tired. You don't see that kind of stuff.
I was noticing that. What, like, the craziest place to have a huge compression like that, where you're at the peak of fatigue and just eyes up on that finish line. All right, so with Elliot Jamieson settling into the hot seat, looks like our next challenger will be Fabian Cusini, Elliot.
Yeah, like we talked about in slalom, he's the wily veteran. This guy, he's got a ton of experience. Today can do pretty much anything. You know, I don't know if you saw the course preview, Sam, but to me it reminded me of Mount St. Anne a bit, especially the top part.
Yeah, I didn't think the course preview, but it looked pretty gnarly, eh? Like fast and rocky, and yeah, it looks like it's got a bit of everything, eh? So yeah.
One of the things I was talking about too is like when you have a course that has a top section that's really gnarly, and then you have a middle that's a little bit flat like this, and it goes back. Do you section the course off in your mind and think about it differently, or you think about one course being one course?
Yeah, you just ride each section as it is. You don't really focus on the whole course. You just kind of, I just like try and just go through each section and just try and push every section as you can. If you think about the whole course in one, you kind of just, it's just too much. So like if you end up just going through each section as it comes, then you just ride like that, and it seems to work pretty well. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense to hear that you just ride every section the same. Like you ride a jump like it is a pedaling section.
Yeah, but you run a ride just everything like pin, you know, so. Yeah.
You just go fast.
I've got a tendency to get like 12 RPMs of the cranks in the span of one double jump. Oh, Fabian Cusini through the line, 21 seconds back. He'll go into second place, so perhaps some sort of mishap for Cusini on that run. Elliot Jamieson dodges the bullet.
Dodging the bullet.
So yeah, tell me about that. When I think of Sam Blanketsop, I of course think of, you know, World Cup racer with a lot of accolades. I think of 2018 King of Crankworx. I think about no gloves, and I think about pedaling in the air. Those are your trademarks. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know, just how I am. Just ride my bike, have fun, and enjoy it, and that's the way it goes, you know. So we got Henry right here. He's looking good. He's obviously another teammate of mine. I've got a few of them out here. They're all bloody there. They're lucky
you guys are taking over.
I felt left out.
Did you expect him to win Psychosis?
Nah, I heard that the other day. I was like stoked. Yeah, we've obviously, the guys are on a new downhill bike and are loving it. So yeah, it's cool to see him win an event. He just needs to like let it hang out a bit more in the downhill, and we'll see how he goes today. Hopefully he can beat Elliot and hopefully beat Finn, you know. Big competition.
It is. There's a ton of good Canadians here.
Yeah, it's just like a World Cup, really.
Have that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're about to find out if he's letting it hang out enough here. 5 seconds left to cross the finish line in the lead. It looks like he's going to do it by 2.3 seconds. Henry Fitzgerald, the winner of Psychosis, now took over the hot seat.
He's feeling it. He's feeling it.
How was it, bro? It's got to be fun for you, Sam, to be the elder statesman of the team, to kind of put these guys under your wing. It's unfortunate you're not rubbing elbows with them at World Cups this season, but cool to hear that in your assessment, he just needs to hang it out a little bit. That's got to be good for a younger rider to hear, because that's better than some other piece of feedback you could get. Here we go. Next rider on course, Seth Sherlock. When we say young, we're not joking. 17 years old.
10 seconds.
Let's see if he lets it hang out. A crazy story about Seth is he had an issue with his downhill bike during Psychosis. So he raced his enduro bike, his trail bike at Psychosis. He's racing downhill on it right now. Let's see how it goes for him.
Whew. He came out of the start, dude.
That's the thing you've got going for you when you're young, eh? You just send it.
What is that? Like, is it just, like, you haven't crashed it? You know, I always think it's just because you don't know any better. Like, you don't know that you're too fast.
Exactly. You just like balls to the wall, and if you crash, then you figure it out. you gotta work those ones out.
Act now, think later. Yeah, I wonder how he's gonna do, because there's that big section in the middle, and like through those turns, he definitely looked like he carried some more speed than the last two guys.
Yeah, he's definitely riding a lot more aggressive than the other guys, so we'll see. But obviously the trail bike will be a bit harder to like push in those fast technical like straight bits. So yeah.
Expect that trail bike to be a huge detriment. Not hurting him too bad there. Oh, right. Just under 3 seconds behind on the trail bike. So Seth Sherlock slides in to third place. The next rider we'll have on course is Jesse Melamed. And of course, we take every opportunity to chuck a camera in his face, ask him some questions. Jesse had this to say about pacing coming from enduro.
I feel like in enduro we do learn how to pace ourselves because we'll fly there a week early. We do some like getting accustomed to like the local trails, and then we have four really big days, and so we're all about managing fatigue every day, and so you can get through to like the last stage on Sunday and being ready for it. So I feel like we have a lot of good tools at our disposal for that.
So Jesse Melamed on course right now, also running the trail bike.
Sam, you've done a couple of enduros. How would you approach this Crankworx Summer Series? Would you think about pacing, or would you just kind of take it race by race?
Yeah, you just take it race by race. If you worry about saving too much energy, then you just end up probably. Well, everyone should be. We ride bikes all the time. It's just like training every day. Racing is easy. The easy part, you know. So you don't really get too worn out. The hardest part would be probably the enduro. You've got more stages, but the downhill, you know, it's pretty small, and probably the slalom would be the biggest one. Would be just doing sprints if you're going to the final heats. You know, it's a lot of just 10-second sprints every time.
Great.
Well, this is looking good for Jesse Melamed. He's got 8 seconds to cross the finish line in the lead.
It's gonna be super close.
Throwing caution to the wind in those flat turns, into the lead by 2 seconds. Jesse Melamed, the man to beat.
I love watching him ride that bottom section. You could see where he was like transferring his weight to one side or the other, like almost like skiing down that stuff.
Jesse, you hit my cake.
Yeah, he definitely looked more aggressive in those flat grass corners than anybody we've seen so far. That's the fastest time of the day.
Actually, you saw I did that earlier and I fixed it myself, so I've done one personal fix.
Little replaced your divots banter out there.
Bloody guy blowing out the track.
Well, I'm looking at the start list here, and I see the next rider to drop is going to be the guy that you mentioned. As soon as you saw the course preview, you said, ooh, this could be a good course for Mark Wallace.
Yeah, man. I've been saying it, but I just think he's one of the best, if not the best technical rider when it comes to doing lines, like being precise and that kind of stuff. I always say, Sam, like when there's a gnarly section, like just watch Mark Wallace.
Yeah. Or even riding in the wet, you know, a wet, sketchy, horrible section. Mark just makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
But then look at him, he's had a downer. I think he's had a crash.
Yeah.
That's a bugger. But then, like, watching him ride, like, he looked like it's kind of like watching Greg Minnaar, you know? They look a bit slower, but they don't look like the fastest rider, but then the times always show, like, the fast riders.
That's so true. Like,
not one of those guys.
It is, like, just so smooth, like, and so precise. What do you think makes
Check it, we
a
got
good
split
rider?
times right now all of a sudden.
Wait, so is that mean he's in 5th? Is that right?
All right, so time to beat is
Oh,
2:51. He's
okay,
had some
never mind,
issues,
never mind,
I
I
see.
see.
All right. You're right, Sam. There was an
You
issue
got
up there.
me.
Did you say you saw some dirt on his jersey?
Yeah, he's definitely had a downer.
Cam, you're behind, brother. You're behind. Us downhill racers, we already saw it. First thing you look for is the elbows.
Yeah, I was like, man, his kit's not wide on one side.
Hopefully he's all good.
Too bad, man. This could have been a really good track for Mark Wallace. He's not going to pick up any points here. We move on to the next racer on the start list, Kay Vesna.
Got the, the Elliott Jackson suspension here. If he does well, it's my fault. If he doesn't do well, it's his fault. And McKay coming from Enduro, but used to race World Cup downhill back in the day, so he's definitely comfortable on downhill bike. Super fit. He's literally one of the fittest people I've ever seen. He rides with like pro road riders all the time. But again, like you can see him there, like just so strong, so precise through all of this technical stuff. Almost losing the front end there.
He's riding solid.
Yeah, he is. I love
He's
that
looking
shot.
fresh.
You get like, what makes a rider look fresh?
He's not looking tired, he's just riding aggressive.
Oh, I see. I was thinking like looking
You're
fresh.
thinking like
looking
fresh,
good.
fresh kit. Fresh air.
Oh, super close for McKay.
Yeah.
Not fresh
Not
enough.
good where it puts him on the leaderboard.
Time's still going.
Jesse's going to, take off his hat and coat and stay a while. He's feeling pretty good about that hot seat right there, but Remy Govan, his teammate, look at this. What is this, Chippendales?
Strip it off, boy.
If he holds it over his head and starts waving it around, I'm going to click out of my browser.
He brought his hotel room to the bottom of the track. He knew he was going to be there for a bit.
I've never seen somebody so psyched to be in the hot seat they start stripping in a celebratory fashion. All right, so these two guys trained together. One chose the enduro bike, one chose the downhill bike. Hot seat, Jesse Melmed, but on course, Remy Govan.
Yeah, and one thing to note here, let's talk about the downhill. Remy raced World Cup downhill and actually went to Leger. Looks like his chain might have missed it. Looks like he's back, but he went to Leger and rode the World Cup there. One of the hardest World Cups to do well at, and got, I think, 40th or something like that, which is insanely impressive.
I think there could be like, yeah, exactly. I was gonna say there's a side competition to see who breathes the loudest. It's between Miranda Miller and Remy Govan.
It must be something they do. I don't know if that's good for you or what, but it sounds like it's making his heart rate work a lot harder.
Yeah.
Sam,
like
when you ride, you just breathe out of your nose the whole way down, like no problem.
Yeah. It's just mouth breathing. That's just drying your mouth out. You're just working so much more.
We got some serious armchair quarterback in here. We're like all cozy at home. Like, look at that guy, he's breathing hard.
I literally.
He's riding downhill, man. It's easy.
Just let up
down a hill.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll get to see what Remy Govan's time was and the final 5 competitors in your Maxxis Kicking Horse Downhill coming up after the break.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Gotcha.
Discover the best trails in the world. Trailforks. Download the app today.
Matt, the company's making the Clif Crankworx Summer Series possible thanks to GT. You can't spell good times without GT. And of course, Whistler Mountain Bike Park, most famous mountain bike park on the planet, the birthplace of the Crankworx World Tour. Ride now, sleep later. And to Pivot Cycles. They've been making this possible, and they lent us the talents of Eddie Masters in an earlier broadcast. We had a good time with him. Right now, we're having a good time in the middle of the Maxxis Kicking Horse Downhill. Cam McCall, Elliot Jackson with our special guest, Sam Blankensop. The current standings look like this.
Oh, so McKay, we didn't get to see that time for McKay, but he's right there behind Jesse. So it just shows how much it can shake up. You know, Henry took the win in the Psychosis, and then you have McKay only 1.5 seconds back behind Jesse.
So Sam Blankensop was speaking earlier about saying, you know what, this is not fair. These guys are having so much fun racing out there. We all wish we could be taking part of the festivities. And of course, we always take the opportunity to live vicariously through these racers. Let's take a look at how Finn Isles and Mark Wallace are enjoying their time here at Kicking Horse Mountain Resort near Golden, BC.
There was a time when beaver lodges like this one had almost disappeared from Canada because of COVID-19. But the beaver, who will always be associated with Canada's early days, has been reintroduced into many areas, and it's made a successful comeback.
Oh my God.
This is like the beginner route right here. You don't actually really need to turn, very easy, and you just kind of like do a thing with your hips, and That's it.
Stop that.
Well, it's basically just off a corner. Grab back, brake, and stick a foot out. This looks like Schraub Central, dude.
Lucky Lager Mimosa. Mark, dude, that is your drink. You are from Duncan. That's a dirty basket, buddy.
I think once you get through like the first minute, it'll be okay. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, there's still first 30 seconds or something. You can't be up in this thing. I don't know. You might be doing it solo.
How you feeling, Finn?
Heart rate's at like 190 right now.
Oh my goodness.
For a more complete story of the beaver, why not contact
Kicking Horse Mountain Resort in Golden, BC.
Niles focused, but I don't think we've ever seen him so scared. We saw that piece yesterday, and we're like, wow, that's another side of Finn.
Man, get me to Kicking Horse, please.
Looks like a blast. Lot to do at Kicking Horse. So as soon as the world normalizes, put that on your list of 2 visit destinations. I know it's on my list. I'd love to check it out at some point. But check this out. We're right in the middle of the Maxxis Kicking Horse downhill right now. We've seen Mark Wallace in that feature. We saw him drop in already. A bit of an issue, but the last rider to drop will be the other rider we just saw in that feature, Finn Isles. I have a feeling this course is right up his alley.
Yeah, what would you say, Sam? You guys were teammates for a while.
I wasn't his teammate, but he was just jumped on the team just after I left. So
that's right.
But I spent a lot of time with the little guy when he was little. Now he's pretty big. He's getting a bit more swell. Been lifting a bit of weight, so I think he'll do pretty well. He's probably got a lot of anger from yesterday crashing in the slalom, so we'll see how he goes. Hopefully he holds it together.
It's true. It'll be interesting to see him drop last, but a whole lot more to come right now. I'm looking at my start list. We should be seeing Reese Werner next. And there he is on course.
I'm excited to see him ride more. He's not one of the people that I've gotten to see his riding style a lot, so.
Well, you're seeing his riding style right now, and you're seeing that result at the bottom of the screen flashed on for a second. 3rd at Psychosis, so he's obviously come to play.
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed is just how smooth and how early he gets on the pedals after the turns. Really trying to be precise. I think a lot of the riders you see, you're talking about looking fast and going fast. He seems like kind of one of the guys who maybe plans out his runs a little bit more, and just kind of like really tries to be deliberate in what he's doing.
Obviously, there's a bunch of different ways you can ride these flat corners down here, different speeds you can take, but it's so common we see somebody enter that final section with 15 seconds left to go and they don't cross the finish line in the lead. This is going to be another one of those cases, but wow, it was close. Only 0.6 seconds back. Reese Werner slides into 2nd place.
Man, it's right there. It's so tight at the top. Only a half a second back.
Obviously, things can shake up here. Finn Isles has a big lead in the overall series. That's 625 to Bas van Steenbergen's 439. Both of those riders are still yet to drop. But Reese Werner, we just saw him drop in, slot into second place. He's back there in fourth. But we've seen people dropping like flies, haven't we, Elliot?
It is. It's crazy. You know, we don't see Casper, and he's one of the people that I think we had our eye on to having that super good result in the first one, taking the second at Silver Star in the downhill. So we're definitely missing him here.
Before he had issues, he was sitting in second place in the overall standing, so now it's opening up the door for other athletes like Kirk McDowell, who's sitting in sixth, and he's currently at the top of the course, ready to drop in. He was the 2016 and 17 Canadian National Downhill Champion. He took third in Whistler last year in the downhill, and he would love some points right now to capitalize on that. The fact that Casper Woolley is out of the race. Here he goes.
Man, that first part looks so fun. Sam, I wonder how much did you think about bike setup on a track like this, and knowing you don't have a lot of time to really dial stuff in?
Yeah, that's the thing that's hard, because you don't really have, like, jumping from your slalom bike yesterday to your downhill bike today, and I don't even know how much practice they got, I guess a day before or whatever. So it's just like, with the Crankworx, that's why I kind of like it, because you don't really have to worry about it too much, you just send it. At World Cup, you've got all that time to worry about all your bike setup, and it's just another thing to hassle about, but with Crankworx, you just riding your bike, you're having fun, you're enjoying it, who cares, eh?
Yeah.
Just ride your bike.
Just go. Yeah, career is like super comfortable, huh? Like taking those insides, looks good on here at the bottom. Skipping that.
It's just so tight.
Oh man, that solidifies it right there. He came out of the woods with 15 seconds between him and the top time, and once again does not crack that. So as something to use as a little bit of a meter as we're watching here, you want to see somebody exit those woods with more time to play with. So Lucas Cruz has definitely been finding his pace here on this series. We caught up with him about pressure.
The specialist guys, maybe that are more experienced, could feel more pressure than I do. I guess just because I came into this having no racing this year and just really wanting to have fun on my bike and race again, because that's what I love doing. So yeah, I don't know, maybe you'd have to talk to them about the pressure, but I'd say everyone who's here is really just having a good time and they're really stoked to be racing again.
That was then, this is now. Maybe a little bit more pressure being felt since he was the man standing at the top step of the podium in yesterday's slalom. He's hanging out in third place in the championship overall. He'll be the next to drop in downhill right now as he kind of climbs the ladder and really continues to find his footing here as a professional elite downhill racer. Lucas Cruz, age 19, the youngster on course.
It seems like he's taking a couple of cues from you, Sam.
Yeah, another teammate. Hopefully he can go good.
You guys are taking over the Crankworx series.
Yeah, it's just Norcos everywhere. Oh,
Clif Crankworx Summer Series, aka Norco Training Camp.
Yeah, it's a good test camp for the team, but I didn't get to make it, obviously, because I'm a Kiwi.
They banned you.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to make it.
I don't think he's going to make it either, Sam. This is impressive. Man. If you're looking at the times here, Jesse Melamed just picking off the downhill specialist. Lucas Cruz slots into 6th place, 2.5 seconds behind Jesse Melamed.
Trail bike, hey? Doing good.
All right, so Bas van Steenbergen will be the next rider to drop. We caught up with him about consistency. He had this to say.
Yeah, I think key to be consistent throughout the whole thing will, I don't know, I think just focus. Like, it's gonna be a lot of mental in there too. Like, obviously it's gonna be really tiring physically, but I think mentally, just to be able to like focus again and again on a new race will be pretty tough. I think that that'll be like a really important part. If you can come into like the last race on the 3rd week and still be like focused to find every little line, find every inch of the track, then that'll be like really important. And I think it'll be harder to do than you might think.
Well, it's working pretty well for Bas van Steenbergen right now. He's been second most consistent. He'll be the second to last to drop here at the Maxxis Kicking Horse downhill as a result of his consistency so far on this series. He is quite a ways back in the overall. He's got 439 points to Finn Isles' 625. So every point matters here. And Bas van Steenbergen looking clean at the top of the course.
I thought it was interesting kind of comparing Lucas's mentality and Bas's, how Lucas was like, oh, my goal is just to have fun. Talking about the specialist people, I think like Bas, who does specialize at Crankworx, and how there might be more pressure on a specialist like Bas. But it looks like, what is that? Did he hit a rock? Is that his rotor?
I think his brakes are just rubbing.
Yeah, maybe just didn't have time to give the old challenge out.
Probably doesn't have a mechanic, you know?
I know it's been interesting seeing you saw Finn and everyone with rocks just trying to clean their tires yesterday. So everyone's doing all their own stuff and trying to be everything.
And he's far back, really far back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not going to be many points for Bas van Steenbergen in the downhill here, which leaves the door open for your series leader, Finn Isles, to extend that gap. He'll be the last to drop as Bas van Steenbergen slots into 10th place, 17 seconds back. Wow, Jesse Melamed had a good run.
Yeah, wow. I wonder if there was something...
So Jesse Melamed gets the scoop for Bas van Steenbergen, but the scoop right now is Jesse is guaranteed at least a 2nd place and 85 points in the overall. But this is what the leaderboard looks like right now for the Maxxis Kicking Horse downhill.
It is so tight at the beginning. Good grief. It's like, look at Reese and Kirk. Like, that's pretty much a tie. You know, you always like finish a race. I know for me at a World Cup, when you would see something like that, you're just like, seriously, couldn't I have just done something to get me that 0.14?
Yes. Especially when the track's so long for like 3 minutes, you know?
All right.
You guys are like you guys are riding the track together.
Yeah,
so the
seriously.
time to beat, 2:51. One rider left with an opportunity to try to beat it. He's the series leader. His name is Finn Isles. He's only 20 years of age, and he is very, very aggressive. I love watching this kid ride, so I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this and let you guys do the dance.
Man, yeah, I think what Sam said about him wanting to really do something this week after not winning slalom, not winning the Psychosis. What do you think it is about Finn that makes him so fast, Sam?
He's always been fast. It's just, his mindset is just to win anything. You know, if you're playing PlayStation with him, he's got to win. If you're playing bloody drawing games or anything, he just wants to win. So anything he does, he just wants to win. And if he loses, he's just really pissed off. So
yeah, right.
Yeah,
I wonder if he made a mistake though.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing with Finn. Like, yeah, he'd win or he'd.
I think he's going to be pissed off here, Sam.
He's crashed. He's crashed. So look out.
We'll have to see.
Crazy. Expect the unexpected on the Clif Crankworx Summer Series. Who would have put their money on Jesse Melamed to take the win here? But he did everything he needed to do. He beat all the top dogs. And
That
Jesse
is
Melamed picks up the win on the day and 100 points to his name in the overall.
Man, and you know,
It must be a technical section up there, like crashing on or something, eh?
Seriously,
It's Myanmar.
it looked gnarly. Yeah, and I wonder if they're, you know, Mark and Finn really like feeling that pressure of being the World Cup downhill racers, trying to get some extra points here. But
did you hear that?
Reese Verner, what did you say? I'm sorry.
I just heard Finn say something blah 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 over the bars.
Oh wow, yeah. I think Reese Verner to me is like, he's always there. Like, no matter what you do, you look at the results and he's like second here, third there. He's definitely consistent.
Well, it pays off. He's hanging out in 4th place in the overall before these standings. So Reese Verner going to help his cause in the overall, and that's what we've been talking about for the last couple weeks, is consistency and just being there. Maybe that's the ticket. Now, Finn Isles has been pretty much dominant, so this is going to leave the door open for some people to narrow that gap. Take a look at our final results. So Jesse Melamed by just 0.61. He chose to ride the enduro bike. He's wearing a headset right now. So I'm going to take this opportunity to ask Jesse Melamed, why did you choose to run the enduro bike? Was it just because that's what you're used to, or did you think it was the right tool for the job out here?
Yeah, I just kind of only brought 2 bikes with me. I don't actually have a downhill bike. This is my big enduro bike. So I up-forked it and slackened it out. And yeah, it kind of worked. And it is what I'm used to. I haven't ridden a downhill bike in probably 10 years. So yeah, I just made it work.
Yeah, Jesse, this is Elliot. When you came across the line, you looked super stoked. Was that a perfect run for you?
Yeah, my last practice lap was what I expected my race run to be. It was pretty loose and like trying to hit those lines on this bike. It's like super spicy, and I kind of just upped the confidence, I'd say, for my final run, and pretty much nailed it. Had a few little moments, but otherwise just rode it really well and confidently, and I was stoked. Yeah, and honestly, just making those grass turns, I was pretty happy, especially because I hit a pole pretty good, but I mean, we made it through.
You looked more aggressive than anybody on those grass turns, and it paid off. You knocked down a lot of downhill specialists, so bask in the glory. Try to recover a little bit. We can't wait to see you at Sun Peaks. Congratulations to Jesse Melamed.
Thanks, guys.
Well, good stuff. Jesse Melamed, it turns out that is his downhill bike. It's just the bigger of the 2 enduro bikes that he brought. That's what he's calling a downhill bike. It was the right tool for the job today because it won the race. And man, we keep having so many surprises, don't we, Elliot?
Man, it is. It's so true. I think it's really kind of breaking all of these preconceptions that we've had about you need a downhill bike for a downhill race, or, you know, that there are certain people that will do well at a certain discipline. So I think the one thing that we've learned over these 2 weeks is just that we actually don't know.
We'll get some final thoughts and an overview of what the standings look like in the Clif Crankworx Summer Series after the Maxxis Kicking Horse Downhill after we come back from the break. Stick around.
Discover the best trails in the world. Trailforks. Download the app today.
We couldn't have the Clif Crankworx Summer Series without Clif Bar. Send it, whip it, and keep on with Clif Bar. Thank you to Maxxis, tread victoriously. And big thanks to Norco for supplying us with their Canadian members of their team, designed and tested in British Columbia, Norco. So, what do you know? That was the final race of the second week of our 3-week series, but that means we have 1 week left to go. You're not going to want to miss next week's action coming at you from Sun Peaks to Kamloops, British Columbia. We'll have downhill on Thursday, 12:30 to 2:30 Pacific time, and air downhill the following day, 1 week from today. So guys, final thoughts from the downhill today. A little bit of a shakeup. I can't wait until we have our mathematicians crunch the numbers on the points, but I'll start out with you, Elliot.
I think for me, the theme was, it can sometimes feel, that beginning of, or even the end of the first week, we kind of thought, okay, this is what it's going to look like going forward. But this week was almost flip-flopped. We didn't have many of the same winners. We saw totally different terrain, and going into Sun Peaks is one of my favorite places to ride in the entire world. So it's one of the events that I am the most excited about.
Very good, very good. Sam Blankensop, first off, thanks for joining us. It's great to have the former king of Crankworx weighing in on this. And what do you make of this race today and the shakeup to the overall tally?
Yeah, it looks good. Obviously, the women was pretty much the same domination as always. Like Casey's doing good in the downhill, and then obviously for the men, it just was a different thing altogether. Like I guess the World Cup guys struggled a little bit. It looked like it, just trying to push too much, and seeing Jesse on top, like on the trail bike, and yeah, just it's crazy to see. Like the guys that you think would win don't win on these small events where you think there's probably more pressure on like Finn and Mark. So yeah, it's good to see different guys winning as well. So it's cool.
Well, I hope it didn't give you too much FOMO watching people race bikes. I hope you're enjoying your winter down there in New Zealand, and thank you for joining us. And just thanks to everybody for tuning in and watching. A great final competition in the second week of the Clif Crankworx Summer Series. Join us next week, because we're going to finally put a lid on this thing. 4 more races to go before we crown a champion for the women. We crown a champion for the men. I've been your host, Cam McCall. Big thanks to Elliot Jackson and Sam Blankensop for joining us. We'll see you all next week.